It was a quiet evening, the kind where everything should feel at peace. The kind of evening that lulls you into thinking everything is okay, that life is just ticking along as usual. But in the back of my mind, I knew something wasn't right. My wife, Lily, and I hadn't really talked in weeks, not about anything that mattered anyway. Sure, we shared the surface-level conversations about bills, work, and the mundane details of life, but deep down, I knew there was a distance between us, a space that seemed to grow bigger with every passing day. That night, I noticed Lily had been even quieter than usual. Her responses were short, her smile less genuine. We sat together on the couch, her body slightly turned away from me, her attention split between her phone and the TV. I asked her if everything was okay, and she gave me one of those tired, forced smiles. "I'm fine," she said, but we both knew I hadn't seen the real Lily in a long time. It was when she stood up to go upstairs that I saw it, the faintest hesitation in her steps. I don't know why, but I decided to follow her. Maybe I just wanted to feel close to her again. Maybe I was hoping to fix something that wasn't broken on the surface, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, I saw her phone light up with a message. She had left it on the counter, screen face up. I could have ignored it. I should have ignored it, but the curiosity got the better of me. The message was from her twin sister Ava, and it read, "Is tonight the night? I'm ready if you are." I felt a chill wash over me. Ava had always been the more adventurous of the two, the one who'd push boundaries, the one with a sense of freedom Lily didn't always share. But they were close, too close at times. They were inseparable growing up, and I had always assumed that bond was something pure, something innocent, but in that moment, something deep inside me told me it wasn't. Before I could process what I'd just read, I heard footsteps on the stairs. I quickly shoved the phone back into place and stood there, pretending I hadn't seen anything. Lily appeared at the top of the stairs, her eyes locking with mine. She looked at me for a long moment, and I could see something in her eyes. Guilt? Fear? I couldn't tell. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice soft but strained. I swallowed hard. I wanted to ask her about the message. I wanted to confront her, to demand an explanation, but I didn't. Instead, I just stood there, staring at her, unsure of what to say. After a long, painful silence, I simply said, "I'm tired, Lily." "We're both tired." She nodded, as if she understood what I meant, but I could tell she didn't. She didn't understand because she was already lost in something else, something I didn't have a place in anymore. The next few days passed in a blur. Lily grew more distant, retreating into herself. And Ava started coming over more often. At first it was casual, just the usual catch-ups, but I couldn't help but notice the way she looked at me when her sister wasn't around. Her gaze lingered a little too long, her touches seemed more deliberate, and there was an intensity in her voice whenever we talked. It was subtle, but it was there, and it made me uneasy. One night, Ava came over while Lily was at a work dinner. We sat in the living room, talking, sharing a bottle of wine. I found myself laughing a little more than I should have at her jokes, enjoying the attention she was giving me. It wasn't that I didn't care about Lily, but Ava had a way of making me feel seen in a way my wife hadn't in months. We sat on the couch, the atmosphere light, but underneath it, there was a growing tension that I couldn't ignore. I looked at her, and before I could stop myself, I said, "What's really going on with you and Lily?" Ava's eyes shifted, her smile fading slightly. She looked at me with that same intensity from before, leaning closer. "You really want to know?" she asked, her voice low and inviting. I froze. I didn't want to admit it, but I wanted to know. I needed to know, but I also knew I was teetering on the edge of something dangerous. I could feel the pull of temptation, the desire to break free from the loneliness that had taken root in my marriage. Before I could stop myself, I whispered, "What if I want to?" Ava leaned in closer, her breath soft against my ear. "What if I want to too?" The words hung in the air like a promise, heavy and full of consequences. I should have pulled away. I should have stopped it right there. But the truth was, I was tired of pretending that everything was fine when it wasn't. I was tired of being invisible to my wife. And in that moment, Ava's touch, her closeness, felt like something I needed, something that filled a void I didn't know how to fill on my own. She whispered again, "What if I want to? What if this is what we both need?" Just as I opened my mouth to say something, the front door creaked open. Lily was home early. The sound of her voice calling out to us from the hallway snapped me out of the trance I'd been in. I immediately pulled away from Ava, my heart racing, my hands trembling. Ava didn't say anything. She just smiled softly, almost knowingly, as if she had already won. Lily walked in, looking between the two of us. There was a moment of silence, long enough for me to feel the weight of the lie hanging in the air. I was about to speak, to say something, anything, to cover it up. But then Ava stood up and smiled, her voice calm but cutting. "I'm going to head out, you two. Don't want to interrupt. She left before either of us could say anything. Lily stood there, frozen in the doorway. Her eyes flicked between me and the empty space where Ava had just been, her face pale. "What happened?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, and that was when it all came crashing down. That was when I realized I wasn't just losing her, I was losing myself too.